Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles pregame show presented by Miller Lite. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/PHLYBirds, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces, fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer. We are here, week 3, to talk about the Eagles. A half an hour away from taking on the high-powered 2-0 New Orleans Saints, a game that all of a sudden seems to matter a lot. Bo Wulf, Jamie Lynch, Fran Duffy. How are we doing on this football Sunday, Jamie?
Excited because I think you're going to find out a lot about this team today, this week. I think this week kind of dictates the next several weeks in a way that fans and the town is going to feel about this team. Because if you go out there and win today and steal one on the road, people are going to go, all right, you just screwed up week 2. You can move past this. A whole new season ahead. If you lose this and get boat race today, I mean, there's going to be a line up to the bridge over there.
I mean, there is the potential that the Eagles lose this game by double digits.
Sure.
And it's like the entire wind has come out of the sails of this season already.
Absolutely.
There is also certainly the possibility, you just look at these rosters. The Eagles probably have a more talented roster. They can bounce back from last week. No A.J. Brown, but you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson active today. Then maybe pop a surprise, Fran, and all of a sudden, yes, we sort of take a deep breath and like, okay, there's still a long road ahead. It's a long football season.
There are a lot of matchups in this game that I think are fascinating, but to me, it's going to come down to the coaching staffs on both sides. But I think when you look at New Orleans, the way that they are going to present some challenges, that's the problem, though, is that when you look at Klint, Kubiak and you look at Dennis Allen, those are two of the better in terms of the first 2 games of the season with what we've come to expect coming in. Both of these coaches are doing an excellent job on their respective sides of the football. So I think to me, it's a big challenge, not just for Nick Sirianni, but certainly for Kellen Moore and for Vic Fangio as well.
All right, we're going to hear from Zach Berman from Nolens in just a few minutes. But some good news for the Eagles on the inactive report, Fran. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who was questionable for this game, is active, playing in this game. The inactives, the rest of them, A.J. Brown, out as expected. And then no big surprises elsewhere. Eli Ricks, Byron Young, Trevor Keegan, Darian Kennard, Devin White remains chasing the Feely with 3 straight inactives. And Tanner McKee, your third quarterback, Jack Stoll, and Paris Campbell promoted from the practice squad for this game. With C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I mean, a little bit of a better chance of halting, slowing down this Saints offense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he definitely would rather have him than not. And honestly, a mild surprise, right? Considering the fact that he did not practice on Friday. So typically, if you don't practice on Friday, especially for a road game, you think, all right, maybe he's not going to be available. But having him in the lineup certainly is a boost to the secondary that, maybe you weren't expecting coming in.
And obviously, this is a guy who played for New Orleans. Agitator. He is going to be a player to watch in this game.
I hope that Klint Kubiak doesn't use his hypeness for this game, his aggressiveness, his desperation to make a play against him and kind of bait him into something where
and he has no doubt had an up and down start to the season so far.
And Taysom Hill also out with a bruised lung that just came out.
That's a tough one.
That sounds like it hurts.
34 years old. That's tough to
This could be
the 3 of us know. Once you get in those mid-30s, so that's tough to bounce back from.
Absolutely. So with C.J. Gardner-Johnson playing, we'll find out if it's Avonte Maddox in the slot, if maybe Cooper DeJean gets a little bit more time. But as you know, Fran, and as you've talked about this week, probably less nickel for the Eagles in this game than most weeks, if the Saints are going to do what they did in the first 2 weeks.
Without question, the first thing I'm looking at, the first time the Saints have the football and the Eagles are on defense, how do the Saints line up? Are they going to line up in their 3 receiver sets without Taysom Hill on the field? Are they going to play with 3 receivers, or are they going to lean more into their heavy personnel sets, multiple backs, multiple tight ends? That is how they've lived so far through the first 2 games. But do they say, you know what, the Eagles have had trouble stopping the run out of their nickel sets. We're going to lean more into 3 receivers and force the Eagles to try and defend us with 5 DBs on the field? Or do they lean into what their identity is, and how do the Eagles respond? To me, that's one of the interesting chess matches early on in this football game.
And absolutely a put up or shut up game for the defensive line. Like, let's go, let's see what you can do, because those first 2 weeks were pretty dire.
Yeah, and if they don't stop the run, they're screwed, because I think it's 50% of Saints passing plays come out of play action. So like it's almost like you have to stop the run and almost kind of sell out to do it early in this game to kind of stabilize the rest of it. So like, am I confident in that? Not really.
But it's only a 2-point spread, This
is.
not double digits.
It's an Eagles line. I really do think it's an Eagles line.
A possible surprise here brewing. And on the other side of the ball, every reason to expect that the Eagles should be able to move the ball on the Saints defense. A good Saints defense, and no A.J. Brown.
Yep.
But I think to your point about the coaches, Fran, this to me is an interesting test of Kellen Moore, who brought some really interesting stuff week 1. Week 2, a little bit more static, and we sort of speculate that maybe that was because of the late week injury for A.J. Brown. Now you get a full week to prepare the offense for not having him. Very curious to see what kind of stuff they do schematically.
Yeah, what is the plan of attack? You don't have A.J. Brown against a defense that loves to be able to play man-to-man coverage. And so are you going to be able to find ways to get Devontae Smith free, use the stacks and bunches and motion and the different formations to try and see if you can create space for your number 1 wide receiver? Are they able to get Dallas Goedert involved early and often in the passing game? And to me, you have to split up the pass game from the run game, because the Saints have not been tested on the ground yet, guys. This has historically been a really good run defense under Dennis Allen, but when both boat racing, Cleveland in week 1, Dallas in week 2, we haven't really been able to see what this run defense looks like. So for me, I almost want to see what the Eagles are going to do to try and come out early and see if they can kind of establish it, get that run game going, and put that to the test. See if they're able to stop the run, especially if you factor in Jalen Hurts and what he can do with his legs.
I think that's I don't know if it's the new trend of this season yet, but a quarterback hasn't hit a over passing touchdown 1.5 yet this season. The good teams, the 2-0 teams, are having success running the ground. And that's why I feel good about the Eagles' chances today. I think what Hurts showed you last week and his abilities are back. And Saquon was the best player on the field. So I don't want to forget about that. So I think you can, to Fran's point, win this on the ground today.
Yeah, it does sort of feel to me like let's establish our identity.
Yeah.
Let's be the bigger. Let's punch them in the mouth here. Let's run behind Saquon. And then there's the report that last night Nick's showing the team Conor McGregor video, attack, which you could argue is a little bit disparate from kicking a field goal, but that's maybe a reminder for himself. I mean, no doubt Nick Sirianni's game management in this game is going to be in focus.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be, because especially off the week that that he just went through.
Yeah.
I got to think that he knows, all right, I have to be ready to go from that standpoint in this football game. But to me, it would be a surprise if the Eagles didn't come out and try and establish themselves early with the rushing attack, lean into Saquon Barkley, and we talked about this, all the football guy tropisms earlier this week, the shorten the game aspect, which I think does matter against an offense in New Orleans that was just bombs away the first halves of the season.
Yeah, and I do think I see the professors in the chat. I completely agree with them. I think that the Saints slurping has gone way too far. I was watching the national media today, and everybody's Saints this can't be stopped. Alvin Kamara's back. Klint Kubiak. It's gone too far. They are the New Orleans Saints.
I think that's fair.
I think there is a degree, and this could be wishful thinking, of a comeback to earth reality here for the offense today. We'll see how the Eagles deploy the defensive backs. I think that's kind of an interesting thing to throw at them with some of the young athletes they have back there. So I'm with you, Prof. I think the Eagles are very much alive in this game today.
Yes, the professor offering just a reminder that it's week 3 and the Eagles, I believe, are still 5th in Super Bowl odds, he says. But, maybe Vegas doesn't always know. That's okay. He says stop trading the Saints like they're the 72 Dolphins, and RIP to your boy.
Yeah, Mercury Morris. Yeah.
All right, do we have Mr. Burman? Not quite yet. From the place once called the Superdome.
Is Derek Carr saving New Orleans, or is New Orleans saving Derek Carr?
I like that.
That was the $1 million question after Drew Brees and Katrina.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
And then you got the Drew Brees refusing to. I'm not going to.
I don't need to take you down that rabbit hole.
Now Zach wants caution here, because we're going to go to him at the Superdome, but this is an indoor stadium, very loud. He wants to pre-apologize for what the audio might be.
I mean, look, as long as he's got that great background, we know that the video matters to Zach a great deal. So as long as he can have that great background shot, I know he'll be happy.
Vinny set the backdrop standard this week with the Lombardi Trophy and the wine.
Oh,
so Zach is he's on the grill here.
That was fantastic. All right, well, if we don't have Zach yet, let's tell you about our friends at Bet365, because you know that it's never ordinary at Bet365. Our dear friends sponsoring most of our shows. Not this one. This is a Miller Lite episode, but that's okay. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide and live streams 780,000 events each year. Early payout offers across the NBA, NHL, NFL, and MLB. Bet365 pioneered live in-game betting, and today Bet365 offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Use the code PHLY365 to sign up, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. We've got our own little player prop bets coming up. Bet365, never ordinary. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yes, and our PHLY custom boost is up on the homepage there. You can get plus 600 right now, Bo. Devontae Smith over 75 yards. Saquon, a combined 100 rushing and receiving yards, and the Eagles' money line boosted to plus 600. So when I hit that bet today on Bet365, I'm probably going to go right to the beer fridge and crack open a nice ice-cold Miller Lite. It's the original light beer since 1975, and to this day, it's still the best one. Why? Because they haven't messed with it. It's a light beer that tastes like light beer should taste. It's cold, refreshing, and less filling. You're not going to get bloated. So whether it's a tailgate, the golf course, the mountains, at home with friends and family watching the birds, whatever it may be, Miller Lite always hits the spot. It's the original light beer since 1975, and it's still the best one. It's stood the test of time. You don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. It tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLYBirds, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
All right. It's a big game for the Eagles, but it's a bigger week for our friend Zach Berman, who was traipsing around down there in the bayou. Went to a nice LSU game at Baton Rouge yesterday. Now he's back in Nolens for this bad boy. And, of course, on Tuesday, the release of the franchise, the second Zach Berman banger of a book. So we look forward to talking about that all week. But first, let's talk to you, Zach. You're away from your family this week. How is it down there in the bayou?
Well, it's great. It's fun to come on. I apologize right now for the background noise. I enjoy an open-air press box for the viewing experience, but from a pregame show experience, certainly not ideal. I hope you can hear me okay. I got the noise cancellations in so I can hear you. You did your Brian Kelly impersonation. I can tell you I was at Brian Kelly's press conference yesterday, and he used his Northeastern, he's from Boston. He lived in the Midwest. He didn't sound like someone from Nolens during that press conference, but certainly we all saw that halftime clip at the LSU game, the LSU basketball game when he was hired.
Now, you and BK go back. Did he recognize you?
He was fired up yesterday, honestly. He was fired up in that press conference. So no, he would not recognize me. Last time I saw him, actually, I did spend with him leading up the Orange Bowl, but this puts it in perspective for the Eagles listeners. The starting guard for Cincinnati that day was Jason Kelsey. The starting edge rusher for Cincinnati that day was Connor Barwin. So that's how long ago we're talking about.
All right, let's talk about the game at hand, Zach. CJ Gardner-Johnson active for this game. What can you tell us about, that decision and the way that he's been used in warm-ups? How are they looking on defense?
Yeah, so he is active. He missed those. I'm sorry for that background noise. He missed those 2 days of practice. He's questionable. The Eagles did not elevate any safeties for practice squad, which should be an indication. They were confident he would play. He worked out before the game. He was on the field, and he'll be full go for this game. So you will see him out there. Pre-game warm-ups, there were no changes with the Eagles defense. It's the same guys you would expect. Bryce Huff still a starter, of course. Quinyon Mitchell was on the outside. Cooper DeJean was with the second team, not the first team. On offense in pregame warm-ups, so it was interesting. Devontae Smith was on the outside. Burton Covey was in the slot. A week ago during those pregame warm-ups, you remember, I was there watching it with you, Bo. Devontae Smith was on the inside then.
What do you make of a Devin White situation, Zach? A few comments in here asking about Devin White. Obviously not a special teams player at this point in his career, but what's the plan here?
Yeah, he doesn't play special teams, so unless he's in the starting lineup, he's not going to be active. Now, we can't rule out the possibility of him becoming a starter at some point, right? Because we've seen that over the past 5-6 years here. They have these changes in the linebacker corps. So we'll see if that does materialize. But unless there's an injury or performance issue, Devin White will be inactive.
Zach, it feels like this is an opportunity for the Eagles to win one old school style on the ground with Saquon Barkley today. Did you get any sense of that being around the team this week? We just kind of, keep the Saints offense off the field a little bit and use that new toy of yours?
Yeah, I mean, I projected that, in our predictions on PHLY.com. I said I could see that going. Now, I say this like tongue-in-cheek. They didn't give me their game plan this week, right? So I would imagine that's the way to go. If we're kind of looking for some signals for it, they elevated Jack Stoll as the tight end. Now they only have a certain amount of elevations they can use for E.J. Jenkins, but Jack Stoll in the past has been used in these 12 personnel heavy packages to help with run blocking. So perhaps that's something to do. As Fran has pointed out this week, the Eagles have had success running the ball against Dennis Allen's defense in this Jeff Stoutland run game coordinator scheme. So it is something that I can see the Eagles doing, but I'd be lying if I said that they gave me that indication.
And obviously, Jalen trusts Jack Stoll, as you well know, Zach. Give us anything else, any sort of vibe there, any lay of the land, any scenery that you'd like to pass along before we let you go.
Yeah, so I can tell you that. Well, as you mentioned, I was in Baton Rouge yesterday, but I got into New Orleans last night. I walked around this morning, as you would expect. Loads of Eagles fans. You see Kelly Green everywhere. I think that's like the popular jersey now, is the Kelly Green jersey. Kelly Green jerseys everywhere. I went out to breakfast this morning, saw a lot of Eagles people out, and this is naturally a tough place to play. The Eagles haven't won here since 2007, but I do think there's going to be a lot of Eagles fans in the building. This is my fourth time coming here for an Eagles game. The Eagles have not won in any of those games. They got blown out in 2018. They lost in the playoffs in 2019. We all remember that. And then 2012, they had that memorable Riley Cooper fake kickoff return that was called back because Brandon Boykin did not throw it backwards, but they lost that game too. So the Eagles have not had a lot of success in this. The Eagles have not had a lot of success in this building. I have not seen an Eagles win in this building. We'll see if that happens today. But as far as like seeing before the game, I could just tell you that there are a lot of Eagles fans. I would imagine, if you take Brazil out of it, the three trips that I can see Eagles fans really wanting to go on this year are New Orleans, Tampa Bay, and Los Angeles, and they haven't been to New Orleans since that playoff game in 2018. So I imagine this was, or in January 2019. So I imagine this was the most popular attraction for Eagles fans.
And of course, the most popular attraction for Eagles fans on Tuesday, Zach, is what?
I appreciate you asking, is the release of the franchise Philadelphia Eagles, The Curated History of the Birds, available wherever books are sold. You can DM me directly if you want me to send you a signed copy. We can work that out. There is a website coming, but the easiest thing is just DMing me, and we'll work it out via email. But you can get it wherever books are sold, and more importantly than any type of transaction is I hope you read it and enjoy it and get to relive some of the fun memories in the past 25 years, and that it can make you think of where you were at that time.
Well, thank you very much, Zach. We will look forward to talking to you after the game. Good luck to you. Get those tweets out.
I promise you it will be quieter after the game. There's Jimmy Kempski behind me. I'm going to get smarter by saying
Jimmy.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Zach.
I always love the Jimmy pop.
Let's get to our Bet365 best bets.
Yeah, Bo, it's funny, Zach says it's a tough place to play. It is a tough place to play. I did a lot of games there in my Sunday Night Football days, and it's loud. They're actually, over the last 20 years, the fourth worst against the spread team at home.
Oh, interesting.
They are.
Everybody's baking in.
Yes, they bake it in too much, and I think that's part of why the credit is a little swayed in the New Orleans way today. They're a great against the spread road team.
Oh, interesting.
Really struggle at home actually against the spread. Doesn't mean they're losing these games, but so my bets today. I guess I'll kick it off.
So the Eagles will lose by 1 point today.
Yeah, right. I'll kick it off here, and don't forget to use code PHLY365 when you download the Bet365 app and get that $200 free dollars. Look, it was a good Devontae game last week. I expected a little bit more. I think he gets it today. I think they're going to feed the beast when they're not running Saquon. I'll take him to get 6 catches or more today.
Okay.
And then Saquon, I think that's how you win the game today, is on the back of Saquon. And I'm not about beating running backs into the ground week 3, but I think you really need a big Saquon game. So I think I'll take a combined over 100 rushing and receiving yards total one way or another, he's going to get his yards today. So I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Now, Fran, with Devontae, with Marshawn Lattimore back, what's their typical plan if they've got an obvious 1A guy? Is he going to follow him, you think?
They will travel Marshawn Lattimore more often than not. I think that he would have traveled against A.J. Brown, would be my guess, because they've been not afraid to do that against bigger receivers. Lattimore is a bigger corner, but I would guess that Lattimore should shadow Devontae Smith even into the slot.
Good.
Okay.
Slim Reaper likes a challenge.
Likes a challenge, all right. And I'm a total sucker's bet here. I'm buying one play for Jahan Dotson over 22.5 receiving yards on the day.
The splash play comes.
Total sucker's bet.
All
but,
right.
A week to actually get him into the game plan. If he matters at all, let's see it today. And then, I think Saquon has just shown the explosiveness this season that over 15.5 yards for his longest run. I see a little whether it happens all game long, we'll see. The Saints do have a traditionally good run defense, but one pop is what I'm betting on.
I like that. I think that they've got the ability to go and try and see if you can do that against this secondary because, they love to play in their sub package. They'll get out 5 DBs, 6 DBs on the field. And so I think the opportunity will be there for the Eagles. In the years past, they have been fine with trying to run 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, which traditionally would be a passing down, handing the ball off. So I think we haven't necessarily seen that yet with Saquon, but I think in this situation you might.
All right, Fran, let me phrase it to you this way. If things go well for the Eagles today,
okay,
give me one player who could be a big part of that.
Jordan Davis.
Okay, I like that.
I think that if the Eagles come out and they play in their base defense and they try and get that downhill run game going, I think we see Jordan Davis pop a little bit more in this game than what we have in weeks past.
That's a good one. How about you, Jamie?
Somebody in the secondary's got to make a play. So I'll go with Quinyon Mitchell. I think a big interception is needed. A turnover is needed.
Listen, they've lost the turnover battle first 2 games.
Yeah.
At some point, that should correct, right?
Yeah. And Quinyon's been close on a couple plays. I feel like he's the type of kid after, Fran broke it down in the film this week, that one play in overtime, like that probably ate him up. So I think he's the type of kid that's going to go back out there and respond. So I'll go with Quinyon with a big INT.
That's a good one. And then you've also got, we know the CJ Gardner-Johnson revenge game. Also a revenge game for Zach Bond, who struggled last week, but still brings some oomph. Maybe he's the guy who can force he's a bit of a boomer bust player at this point, right?
Sure.
But maybe he could force a turnover.
I like that. You use him as a blitzer. You can get him going back in coverage as well. Yeah, I like that one as well.
And Vic starts like crotch chopping, like I knew better than you guys. This is my guy. How about on offense? Anybody who is under focus for you?
Dallas Goedert. I think that's one to look at. And to me, this is not a, oh man, he looks washed kind of thing. It's more like the game plan. Like, let's see if we can get number 88 going early on in this football game. If that's the mindset for Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore going into this one, then I think that Dallas Goedert can pay dividends here in this matchup.
Yeah, Nick has said the offense goes through AJ, Devontae, and Dallas. And it's like, okay, yeah, I believe you on 2/3 of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's Jalen not finding them, if Dallas isn't getting the separation, whatever it is. I'd like to see that corrected because, Dallas Goedert has the talent to be a top 10 tight end in this league, but we don't see it consistently. He disappears way too often. So I agree. I would love to see Dallas Goedert give you a little something today.
Yeah, and I just think in general, the offensive line has looked so good. Let's let those guys follow your best players at this point. Let's let those guys eat. All right, we got a super chat before we get going from Richard Fitzwell. Bet he does. I'm sorry, but something about losing to Dennis Allen and Derek Carr seems a bit disqualifying for a team that wants to be taken seriously.
Well, Richard, it fits well.
The Cowboys last week got pants by this team. This team's played well through 2 games. I agree that there's probably some natural regression coming. They're not going to keep performing to this level
best
of
team of all
production.
time.
Yeah, they're not going to do this for a 17-game schedule, but does that happen this week? It's tough to feel good about it after watching the Eagles defense last week. It just is.
All right, let's get to our predictions before we get off here. Jamie, I'll let you go first.
I told Anthony on Friday, 31-27 Birds. Now,
it kind of feels like blowout loss or close win, right?
Yes, absolutely. There's like 25% of me that wants to say the Eagles just get absolutely boat raced and embarrassed today. But until I know officially like what they are, I'm going to go on the side of optimism here. I think it opened as an Eagles line with the +1. I think it's still kind of an Eagles line at +2.5 right now. NFL is weird. It's an ebbs and flow league.
It is.
I'll stick with it, man. I'm just going to say Eagles 31, Saints 27. Birds get the tough W, and the town's feeling good after this week.
Franny?
I go Saints 31, Eagles 24. I think they lose by a touchdown here in this one. It's tough to feel good about it. It's certainly, we've talked about it this week. There is a path for them to win this football game, but I think that's too fine a needle for them to thread. I think the Saints come out on top.
Yeah, and I know that Nick Sirianni has been the focus this week, and if his main jobs are game management stuff, and as you know, Jason Kelce likes to say, the most important thing is like the culture in the building, right?
Yep.
So the first one didn't do a very good job week one, but now let's see how this team responds, right? Let's see if they're able to come in and, as he told them to do last night, punch this Saints team in the mouth, be the bigger team. I think that would be great to watch. It would be a good story. Right now, I will go with you, Fran, and I'm a little bit skeptical. I think this will be a good game. I think this will be a good game. I'm going to go Saints. What did you say? 31-24?
31-24?
32-25.
There you go. Perfect.
All right. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles pregame show. We will be here at halftime for a little quick update, and then the postgame show with the three of us and Vinny Curry as well. Hopefully, Jamie is the correct one with his prediction. Enjoy the game, everybody. We will talk to you later. And as always, we love you.